Hi everyone, welcome to Film Log update number 18, covering most of the films that I watched or rewatched during September and October 2022. And so yes, we are back and ready to talk about films once again. So yes, as always, got the laptop in front of me and very informal video, just going through what I've been doing recently in terms of watching films and all that. So yes, let's dig in and give my brief thoughts on films that I've been watching, of course. So yes, starting off in September, we had You Only Live Twice. Once again, rewatching this film, and this is a film that I just can't get enough of in terms of a Bond film. It's just so kind of easy to put on and immerse myself in this. It's not necessarily one of the most layered Bond films, I think, but it's just it's so much fun and the sets and I think just Bond's interactions throughout this film, just so charming and the side characters a really great film for me and I love this film. Always great to rewatch this and I'm going to be compiling at some point as soon as I can another Bond ranking of course, so that'll be something I'll be working on, in the near future, and try and get that up, of course. But yes, the day after that, I saw once again The Lady Vanishes. Of course, a Hitchcock film, and for me, one of the best, Hitchcock films, and certainly I will be reviewing this film again, fairly soon. So yes, look out for that. I'm going to give that a proper review, of course, because it was I believe one of the first, reviews or a few months of me reviewing films, on the channel. I talked about that film, so of course it's due for a redoing of that. And the day after that, I saw once again, the Robin Hood film from the 70s, the Disney adaptation, and it's a very iconic film and one that most people do consider at least one of their favourite kind of Robin Hood works. And it's certainly a film that I saw a few times as a kid, although all the way through that is, and although when it was on and stuff, I was never that big on this film. A massive Disney fan, of course, but Robin Hood was not one of the Disneys that I came back to again and again. Just kind of watched too much and really liked too much. And seeing it again, I can see why. Just personally, it's an okay film. It's a fine film, one that I did overall enjoy. But there's just so much that just. It kind of it's underwhelming, I must say, the actual scenarios and the script and just the way in which these characters kind of brought to this Disney world. I just think at times it's underwhelming. The villain as well, really just underwhelming, and some of the comedy in this film doesn't work for me, and it's just quite annoying. But yeah, overall, it's an okay film. I did enjoy it. Seeing again, but I've never loved this film personally, and certainly not my personal favourite Robin Hood film, and it's just an okay film, but as a Disney it's slightly underwhelming. The animation at times is really good, other times it's not my favourite kind of look. I think in a general sense the golden age was just wowing for me, and I think after that for quite a few decades it's interesting, a different direction. It just wasn't as popping to me, and it's visually stunning as those original Golden Age films, and just there are some kind of gems, of course, going forward. The Silver Age and all this, but I think definitely not my favourite area of Disney. But yeah, that's Robin Hood. Definitely, I enjoy this film. Just not one of my favourites. Next up, we have a film, a very unfortunate film. In a sense, I was really hyped for seeing this, but in the end, I thought, do I like this film? I think it maybe not quite, alike, but then again, on some days, I'm thinking, I was kind of invested, I think, and there was a character in particular that I really did, I think was great, but yes, that is Mystic River. So very surprising, another Clint Eastwood film. Usually love this director's films, and actor of course as well, but this one, and of course Sean Penn as well. There are a few films that I think he is just stunning in, and really a great actor, but in this film I think the performances in this film, I wasn't completely 100% behind. It didn't quite do it for me, and just in general it's kind of an interesting start, and I think without spoiling this film, it just kind of it took a direction that I didn't, appreciate, at all, and it just wasn't, kind of wasn't pleasant to see this, and I just think the way in which certain, characters perhaps are treated, and just in the end, it's not enough to kind of, it really annoyed me, the ending actually, and yeah, I think seeing this film, I think it's once is enough actually, and it'd be one of the rare films that perhaps I won't bother going back to, because there's no point for me. I just didn't really get too much from this, and because of the narrative and the way, the outcome and all this, and just the way in which it kind of developed, just I wasn't really. I don't think I'd go back to this kind of get too much from the narrative itself. But I think Tim Robbins in this film, is amazing. He really is. I think he's so good in this film, and there's definitely some things to appreciate. But overall, it wasn't quite for me. I don't think, and I didn't really think this was, a good film personally. But yeah, there we go. Next up, Desperate Living, John Waters' film. I'm definitely a fan of John Waters, but I think this one was a bit too, a bit too loud at times. Noise without, much of a purpose, and I think just a bit of a slog for me. I think it started out very funny at times, but it became a bit of a slog and a bit boring for me, and just kind of a watered down, if you will, John Waters film. Really, that's just my personal take. I think films like Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, and all these, they're definitely for me a lot better, and I think that kind of stretch, kind of Multiple Maniacs, these ones are definitely the best I've seen, the best kind of stretch of John Waters so far, but once again there's things to praise, but overall it didn't quite do for me, so that's Desperate Living. Watching the Rush Hour sequels, Rush Hour 3 of course, I saw this, and I thought it was quite good. I thought it was definitely the worst, of the three, and some things I wasn't big on, but overall, it's just a kind of a very pleasing, kind of silly comedy, action film, of course. Some really good action in there. Just seeing Jackie Chan once again and Chris Tucker together, it's priceless, and there's some things. There are some bizarre moments in this film, and things that go on, but I think overall definitely a very funny comedy, and it definitely I was really definitely laughing quite a bit in this film. So yeah, especially Chris Tucker in this film, it's just hilarious, just like in all these films. But yeah, once again, seeing this Rush Hour film, the third film this time round, and I can say once again another kind of enjoyable Rush Hour film. So there we go. It's not very popular, this one, but yeah, I did like it. And next up we have Hugo, of course, a Scorsese film, and one that I was very interested in seeing. I was thinking, what could this be like? Scorsese kind of family film like this, and just I was interested in seeing this for a while. Although it's never going to be one of those films that was on my immediate watch list. It was never going to be one of those films that I was super pumped for. But I was mildly intrigued. And of course Scorsese. So yeah, overall it's a good film. I think it definitely got better. In the second half, and especially the final act, was definitely really, really good actually. It's kind of this ode to cinema, and silent cinema especially, and I loved some moments when it was doing that, in the second half. Some of the characters and the narrative, for me at first, it took a while for me to kind of be really invested, and just some tonal issues that was kind of throwing me off, personally, just for my liking. But overall, it's a solid film. Definitely not one of my favourites, Scorsese films, but one that I do praise, commend, and I did enjoy. Overall, it's a nice film. So yeah, Tower Heist, for me, just a basic comedy that I can't really remember. Ben Stiller, and many other great actors in this. But I remember thinking it was a bit too. I couldn't relate to a lot of this at first. But it was a fine, fairly funny comedy. It kind of done what it was meant to do in that sense. But it was underwhelming at times, and just some things, and kind of tropes that are always put in, a lot of modern comedy films that I wasn't once again big on, and just kind of the kind of thing. But yeah, Tower Heist, an okay comedy for me, and yes, personally. Next up, though, is a masterful comedy, and that is Sons of the Desert. Of course, a Laurel and Hardy film, and one that I watched so many times, as a kid, and I've seen over the years as well. And I will be reviewing this film at some point, hopefully soon. And it's always been one of my favourite, comedies since I was a kid, and seeing this, one of the first, kind of comedies that I remember putting on loop really, and just seeing this almost every day at one point. It's definitely one of my favourites, and I look forward to discussing that film. Next up, we have Dirty Harry. Of course, Clint Eastwood stars in this film. Very iconic. It has some of the most iconic lines in cinema, and those moments are truly great. The ones that, of course, that are very famous. Of course, the signature lines in this, and such a great. I forgot how amazing the kind of opening scene and sequence was really, and it was just stunning the way it was shot and the editing there. And I think throughout, Clint Eastwood, is legendary in this film. One of the many, just great performances, that he gave, during this time. And certainly, it's a film that I do really enjoy, and you could say I love. It's not one of my favourite, Clint Eastwood films. There are some things, in the narrative, and just in terms of the flow of the film, and the investment that do at times, I'm bobbing in and out of in terms of how I was starting, the investment there. I think it was a really great start, especially but after that first act, it kind of went off here and there, a little bit meandering perhaps, just if I'm being honest. And then the final act though was this once again. That's the parts I remember so much, the final act, and just a great film, you could say, and certainly one that I really enjoy, and it's just it's so stylish. It's one of the coolest films, really, and it's definitely for me a film that I'm a big fan of. Just not one of my absolute favourite kind of Clint Eastwood films personally, but yes. Then I saw a couple of Clint Eastwood films again, and Joe Kidd was one that I saw, and I'd heard a few things about this, but it's kind of a very minor Western film, really, and it's more of a cult film. And I watched it, and I perhaps had seen a scene here and there before, but I wasn't a fan of this film. Unfortunately, I just thought it was very a real kind of B-grade Western, if that, and just wasn't investing really. And some moments that I enjoyed and appreciated visually, and at first there's kind of a scuffle, a conversation, a bit of conflict going on that I was kind of invested in, but it's just unfortunately it was a Western that I didn't enjoy personally. And next up, one that the Eastwood directed, of course, The Outlaw Josie Wales. Now this is a film that I have seen parts of before, and just had never really I don't remember seeing this all the way through, and just remember a couple of kind of visual moments, if you will. But yes, unfortunately, this film, once again, overall, I didn't really enjoy this film, and I wasn't a fan of this. I think very strange, narrative. Just one that I couldn't really. I was kind of invested at first. I think the first act, I was thinking, it's kind of doing some weird, things. But we'll see where it goes. It's definitely off to a strong start. For sure. Not a great start, but a strong, solid start. And I think Eastwood was playing this character well. But I think around 40 minutes or so into the film is when my investment just went down and down really. And by the end of this, I wasn't big on this. I'd had enough, and I just think there are some films like this that are kind of dealing with these themes that are just highly compelling, and ones that I love. But for me, the handling of this, I just wasn't really invested in this. The characters and what they were kind of I don't want to the characters and their motives, let's just say that, and what they were kind of saying, and the character development, and the scenes where you're meant to kind of get invested in and kind of root for characters. I just wasn't really into this at all, personally. Of course, it's a loved film, and it's great if you love this film, of course. I wanted to, hearing about this over the years, but in the end, it wasn't a film that I enjoyed. It just wasn't one that I was fully invested in really at all throughout. So not a like from me. That's unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. Now we have the others, of course. Nicole Kidman starring in this film, and this is a film that I saw a few times as a kid, and it was quite scary to me. And it's just a film that I was always intrigued by so much, and seeing this again in September. This is a great film. It really is. Such a unique and just well done kind of thriller horror, if you like. And I just think the way in which this narrative unfolds, truly stunning. The script, the acting, and some real jump scares in there, and just a very scary film. And in the end, very, very, very moving as well. So recommend this film, of course. And it's a film that I saw a few times as a kid, but this time I really remembered how much this is such an impressive film. There we go. After that, I saw Austin Powers. Would you believe the first time that I'd seen this film? So there we go. The first film in this franchise, and what can I say? I didn't think I'd like this film, and I didn't actually like this film. So there you go. It's just not a film that, there are definitely some things that I found funny, at first and stuff, but it's just when I was laughing, I thought, and there's a scene, or a moment afterwards where I was just kind of, not into, and I don't think that the comedy is really that layered really for me, and I just think it's very one note. Just a joke happens, and it happens in a lot of comedies that I see, and a joke happens, and then once again, it's kind of it's going over the joke. It's just happened to make sure that everyone gets the joke. Explaining what you've done. This isn't always the case, of it being ineffective in that sense. That can work, and it can work for being self-aware, of course. But yes, I think this was just too much with that whole kind of thing, and it just at times, I was laughing mildly, but I was never actually throughout this film in hysterics or really consistently laughing at this film, and I thought it was a bit of a slog as well. Obviously parodying Bond and different spy films, but for me it's just it's funny, haha, that's kind of that's Bond, but for me it had to do more than that, and I think some of the jokes didn't land as well. Overall, I think it's under par. I don't think it's a bad film, but it's not a comedy that's one of my favourites personally. Again, it has a big fan base, but for me it's just it's mediocre. Just my opinion, of course. But I didn't really take to it too much, but finally saw the film, so there you go, and it was interesting to see. Next up though, a comedy that I do love, and that is Meet the Parents, of course, a legendary film that I talked about a while ago now on the channel, and this is just what a legendary film, the best in the trilogy, of course, for me, and just hilarious, and just so investing. The acting, the script, and just the overall filmmaking. A weird intro, the actual credits, but from that, really, it's just constantly, for me, I have really no issues with this film, and one of my favourite, modern comedies. So there we go. Once again, going through some more MCU films, Age of Ultron. This reminded me, this rewatch, of how much I think this is just underwhelming personally, and I think I did have this perhaps above a couple of MCU films after these recent rewatches, and I think it will be adjusted, so it will go down. Technically, the others, they're going up. Iron Man 3 perhaps as well, that one. So it's not kind of just moving it down and it's being worse than I remembered. It's just a reminder of some of the narrative for me is just very uninvesting and bland, and I think just underwhelming. It's a very big budget film, this, and it doesn't really feel like that for me, and it kind of just it's very wishy-washy, and I think I felt the length this time around. I really did, and it was just definitely the worst for me, Avengers film, and by far. And it's just it kind of feels like a TV film at times, but I do enjoy this film. It's just very underwhelming for being an Avengers film, just for me personally. On the same day though, I saw an absolutely stunning film, Rocket Man. Finally seeing this film, of course, Taron Egerton playing Elton John, of course, and had been wanting to see this for a while, and had the 4K. And I said a while back, I wanted to get the slipcover before seeing this film, because I did order it with a slip and it didn't come. But in the end, I thought, forget it. At the moment, when I order a slipcover or something with a slipcover, it kind of arrives damaged, and I thought, let's just watch this film and forget the slipcover. It's unfortunate, but I saw this film and absolutely loved it. Of course, Dexter Fletcher directing this film, and wow, so impressive this, and it did kind of the final act I think wasn't quite up to the standard for me, the rest of the film, and some minor things here and there that I think wasn't quite fully there for my liking, in terms of this character and how it's kind of dealing with his performances, perhaps, all this the investment levels, perhaps, in that sense wasn't quite there as much as, for example, Bohemian Rhapsody. But that's we won't talk about that film because I love that film and it's very, very unpopular. But yes, Rocket Man, certainly once again a stunning film, and I think this is really blew me away, and the investment, just the magic of this film, it's kind of a musical, of course, in a very unique way, and just love seeing this film, and big Elton John fan, and just his personality and his music, of course, as well. One of the best solo kind of artists, easily, right up there, actually, very near the top, perhaps, and just an absolute legend, and it was great to see this film. So Rocket Man, finally seeing that, and I absolutely love this film, of course. And next up, Family Plot, the final Hitchcock film, and we'll talk about that at some point. I'll be giving it a discussion, not a review or a rating, but just a kind of a footnote, perhaps, just rounding off, kind of saying goodbye to the final Hitchcock film, in that sense. Not the last Hitchcock I'll be talking about, obviously, but the phase of me watching, finally getting around to seeing the later Hitchcock films, ending on that. We'll give a discussion, on that. I wasn't a fan personally, I was saying in advance, of this film, but it was very interesting to see the final Hitchcock film, and obviously a massive fan, so I had to see this. But yes, it's next after that. The next day, seeing Training Day, of course, Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke as well in this film, and this is a really good film. This, and it's a very surprising film. The narrative, and some parts that weren't surprising. Kind of predictable, you could say. But overall, very good film. Very gritty. It seems like it was really going for a dark feel, and it did achieve that. I guess, but I think this film, at times it goes off, and I think there's definitely promise for it being, for me, a great film, but it wasn't quite there. But the performances were absolutely stunning, and Denzel Washington, once again, just on fire here, and it's a very disturbing, kind of film. This, did leave me with an effect afterwards, and that was partly because of the character and how just well he played that character, and very, very disturbing film, and very investing. So I highly recommend seeing this if you've not already. I saw Road Trip after that. Todd Phillips, a fine film. It was kind of a bit cringy at times. Some of the things, the romances and stuff. Some things that wasn't quite for my liking. You could say. Tom Ford, Tom Green, he was Tom Ford, Tom Green, yes, I wasn't a fan of him in this film. Just the comedy didn't work. It was just it brought the film down, and overall, it was a fine film. It didn't really do too much for me, but it was an enjoyable film that I got a lot from, in terms of the characters at times. So it was a nice film to see, I guess. Next, after seeing that, I saw Meet the Fockers, so the sequel, of course, to Meet the Parents. This one has actually, it's reminded me of how much, actually I do love this film. So last time around I gave it a review, the score would be, around 8% more actually this time around. I did love this film, so there we go, Meet the Fockers. Next up, we have High Hopes. This film, of course, by Mike Leigh, continuing the Mike Leigh films. It was a fine film, but for me, a bit underwhelming, and it didn't really leave me with a very nice feeling. It was quite depressing. I don't say that about all the Mike Leigh films. I'm going to just say it's kind of dark. So it's depressing kind of thing. I'm a massive fan of Mike Leigh. He's a great director, and I don't think his films are all depressing. But this one just didn't really give me much hope, and it was just kind of annoying. The kind of way in which things were handled. The messages and stuff. Just a bit irritating, really. One of the main characters in this film was just one of the most unbearable characters to be around. Really, I didn't want to kind of spend the film with him, unfortunately. It did have some really good moments in this film, and I think it started off very strong. But definitely one of my least favourite Mike Leighs. But I do praise this film, and I did get some things from it. Just not one that left me with a kind of a great feeling. But yes. After that, I saw Pardon Us, the first, feature film, of course, of Lauren Hardy, and really, really good film. This, and it's quite hilarious at times, and some things that didn't quite work. But overall, it's a very funny film, and you could say, yeah, I love this film. Just some things that I wasn't big on, and not one of the best Lauren Hardy features, but again, not one of the worst. It was definitely a very, very funny film, and I'm a big fan of this. So yes, Pardon Us. From 31, East is East. The day after that, a film that I saw, pieces of, or actually, most 2/3 of the film, in school actually, and bits here and there elsewhere. But yeah, a very good film. Really enjoyable, and some things again that wasn't, it could have been, a really, really great film, for me. But it's held back, and I think they're a very good film, very nostalgic as well, and just a film that I recommend seeing. Very interesting, and it's kind of what's going on, and the characters. But yes, definitely the film, a film that I really enjoyed personally. Next up, I saw Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers. So not a film that I enjoyed. We'll just get to it. Very underwhelming. Just wasn't a fan of this film really at all. Other than a few aspects, but really it was just very, very disappointing. I'd never seen it before, this film, so yeah, I was intrigued to see this film, and just really disappointed me. So yeah, didn't enjoy that one. Next up, I saw Life is Sweet. So another Mike Leigh film, and very, very iconic. Hearing this title, I thought this was a good film. I think definitely things to praise. I think it was very good at times, but it wasn't one of my favourites. Again, from Mike Leigh. Personally, I think just some storylines as well that I thought would have gone further, and were just kind of cut off, which can happen. Mike Leigh films. I understand that is part of the the intent to kind of just life goes on and this kind of thing, and seeing different storylines crop up, and not necessarily concluding them, but I think just it wasn't done in the way that some of his other films were, and just didn't really it was just I was wanting more of this in different storylines, and it was a fine film, a good film, very very nice film, quite a feel good one, and great performances, of course. So yes, going through some of these, Date Night, it's a fine film. Steve Carell, in this film. Yeah, it was a fine comedy. It was quite funny, and not much more to say there really. It uplifted me, I guess. And this is a film, Mirrors, that I saw, as a kid, and I think we got this on Love Film. So just kind of rented it out at one point, and saw it, and I think we had it on DVD as well at one point. But yeah, this, and I remember thinking, the ending and all this just terrible at the time, and seeing it again though, this film really, wow, this is, I thought this was a bad film personally. I think just everything about this really was just no, and just all the family stuff as well just frustrated me, and very, very quick into the film. We have just moments that would usually be later on in a horror film. It just kind of revealed too much too soon, and it wasn't really done in an interesting way for me. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of Mirrors, but yeah, that's unfortunate. Next up we have Hot Tub Time Machine. This is a really, really nice, feel good comedy film. These characters go back in time through this hot tub, obviously, and I won't say anything else really about this film. Just I recommend seeing it, and very very interesting film. I really like the characters in this. Just the interactions and the way it came through at the end as well. It's one that it didn't start out too good for me, but it really picked up, and I was quite a big fan of this film. You could say actually, in its own way. Really like that film, and go for Naked, of course, another Mike Leigh film. Now this is one of the most famous films from this director, and obviously David Fules, kind of starring in perhaps his breakout role. He was in Life is Sweet as well, just in this film, obviously he's the main character, and it's a very iconic film. Didn't know what to expect, but knew it'd be dark, and I know it's been put on for example, best acting compilations and stuff like that, which I do agree with. David Fules was so good in this film. Many different cast members were really good in this film, and I think it started out absolutely stunning. I think the first half an hour really, especially was particularly stunning. Then it's started to go off in interesting ways, and I was still with the film, and I think really intrigued. I think by the hour mark though, after that it was never quite the same, and overall a very very good film, but not one of my favourites again from Mike Leigh, and I just wasn't big on this film throughout the entire runtime, because the final act as well was a bit frustrating, and very underwhelming, I thought, personally, just for my actual investment in the characters in the film, and seeing where it would go. The final act didn't do it for me really, but Naked, very good film with a masterful really, at times opening, and just wow, so cinematic there, but it didn't quite live up to that promise for me. But very good film. Really, obviously, like this film. Highly recommend seeing it. It's something to behold at times. Obviously, very interesting. And Scream, or Scream 5. Absolutely hated this film, and I was so disappointed, because I do love the franchise, and this is really unfortunate, because the first film is one of my favourite kind of horrors, and obviously it being a comedy as well, a kind of meta film, it's great to see. And 2 and 3 as well, 2 I absolutely loved, actually, and 3 I'm always praising 3, and 4 as well, Scream 4, I thought was very good actually, and it had some things I wasn't big on, but for a modern film like this, the commentary and stuff, I thought it wasn't too kind of cringy in places, and overall, really delivered with the characters and the narrative, and the legacy characters. This film, though, straight away, I thought, okay, we have an opening scene which is, it's quite good. It's quite well done. But okay, we'll see where it goes. Wasn't entirely big on the dialogue, and we'll just be very very honest here. This film, it seemed like it was, really kind of addressing, for example, fans of the original, purists, or this kind of stuff, saying, kind of putting a fan base, in a generalized way into a box, and saying, kind of just aggressively, attacking almost, a particular set of fans, but just for being, kind of. Oh, the original, we love the original, and this kind of stuff. I love, obviously, really, the first 4, in many regards, even 3 and 4 in their own ways. So I wasn't someone who just kind of loved the first, but I think that the film constantly kind of addresses toxic fan bases and all this, and I just think it does it in a really bad way, and it doesn't mean because you love an original and stuff, or and even don't like the other sequels, that you're this kind of a person that needs to be kind of called out for that, and stuff, and it just kind of was very generalized, and I think if we're going to be having these kinds of characters, these modern characters that are very annoying and just talking about Netflix and social media, then why wouldn't I kind of enjoy the other ones more? I just didn't like this film at all, and I think just the fact that it was kind of it's just, I don't understand, it's just, it seems like they were on Twitter all day, and they thought, this is what happens, generalized everyone really, that fits into this and that, and kind of love cinema really. It was kind of like that, and not accepting just any film, new film kind of thing, just because kind of it was just mixed up. It was kind of messy, and it did not come across well at all, and the characters themselves, they presented me with characters. I was open to the new characters, but really from the opening scene, and the use of music and stuff, and the dialogue, just I wasn't into these characters. I didn't enjoy them. They were annoying, unlikable, and again, if these are the characters we're going to be getting, if that's the direction they want to take, perhaps I'm out. Perhaps it would be best to kind of leave it there. And it would be seen as perhaps from their point of view, that would be oh, you're a toxic fanboy kind of thing. But what a load of rubbish, really. And just I didn't like the film because I didn't like it. It's just the way it is. And if they're going to be like this, though, I'll give I guess the next one a go. But if it's going to be like this all the time, I think I'll leave it there. Because I love the first four really, and I was a big fan of the franchise, and to see this was really crushing, actually. And I was going to review it for the Halloween period, but I thought forget it. I didn't enjoy it at all. I hated it. So there we go. It's definitely a film that has a fan base to it. But I didn't enjoy this film, and of course wanted to enjoy this, and always open to sequels and films playing on originals, kind of doing their own thing, doing a different, having a different take, so I was open to it, but what I got, I can't say I enjoyed it at all, really hated it, unfortunately. So yeah, Scream 5, I really hated this film, unfortunately. Just, I don't want to see, why were they talking about Netflix constantly as well? It's just this kind of dialogue and these characters, this whole kind of feel that didn't really take it. It didn't take this whole kind of universe seriously, really, and it was just it's just too much for me. So yeah, I didn't enjoy this one at all. Didn't like it, and didn't think it was good personally. Let the Right One In. Now this is a great horror film, and I'd heard some things about this, and it really delivered. This kind of, well, I won't say what it is, this film and what genre really is, but you just see it for yourself, and very surprising, and the final act wasn't quite there for me, but really the rest of the film, was stunning, so investing. The tone of this, it deals with bullying as well, in a very particular way, and it's just a very powerful film in that sense. So yes, Let the Right One In, a film that I loved. After that, I saw The Brides of Dracula, Hammer horror sequel to, of course, the original 58 version, and I wasn't really a fan of this one, Brides of Dracula. Underwhelming, paled in comparison to the original, and just overall, just it's very overdone, and I didn't really like this film too much. Really good sets and stuff, and moments, some different characters I was invested in, but for me, it's just not that great. Going on, the Dracula Prince of Darkness. Now this is a very impressive sequel to the original, very worthy, and a film that I saw a few times when I was younger, and have great memories of seeing this, and seeing again. This is the Dracula sequel, Hammer one that I think I was expecting after, based on that original. Obviously I'd seen it before. In fact, I saw it before, the Horror of Dracula, the original. But yes, going on the first, for example, and then seeing a sequel, this is the only one really I imagine will be, really living up to that original. So yeah, really enjoy this film, and just the way it was shot. It was all a step up from Brides of Dracula, and obviously Christopher Lee, not a single bit of dialogue from him, and just legendary in this film. Wow, stunning performance, and I really enjoyed the characters and just the charm of this. Really nice. So yes, Secrets and Lies, for me, an absolutely stunning Mike Leigh film, and so far, I think this is the best I've seen, and more on that very soon. But yes, Secrets and Lies. Watch the film. I highly recommend seeing it, and it's just stunning from start to finish. Really something else. Then I saw Wreck, a found footage film. Not much to say on this. It was fine. It was a bit underwhelming. I thought it'd be better than this, but it was fine. It was quite investing and creepy, but not too much. And just I think seeing after that, shortly after that, the week after Wreck 2, I wasn't a fan of that one. So yeah, but the first one was good, and then as well I saw The Curse of Michael Myers. We'll just brush through these now. That was the sixth film of course, in the franchise, and wasn't a fan of that one really at all either. So there we go. It's probably better than 5, but not much more better really overall. Then I saw a very disturbing film, Henry: Portrait of a Serial Killer. Of course, Michael Rooker in this film, and yeah, I've been hearing about this for many years. Saw this advertised and stuff on different sites, and was intrigued to see this. Quite a short film as well. So I put it on, and I don't think it's a great film, but I think it's very, very much one of the most disturbing and just gross films that I've seen, and it really got to me, and just the atmosphere, the grimy nature of this, and a character that isn't, Michael Rooker's character, actually, Henry, that was perhaps even more disturbing, just gross, and, really, obviously based on real events, and just really, really, it really got to me, this one, just the atmosphere, and the whole kind of feel of this was, gross, and, very, very effective, though, very effective, so there we go. Then I saw Career Girls, another Mike Leigh film, a minor effort, I feel, although definitely some things to praise. There are some really interesting things going on here, but not one of the best that I've seen. And I think the first act wasn't for me. The kind of performances and what they were doing with the characters was all dialed up, and yeah, surprisingly lacked a lot of realism there, and it didn't really reel me in that sense. But it did get going, and it's a fine film overall. With it had that feeling of nostalgia actually, by the end. So I guess it was effective in that sense, and yeah, it's an interesting film that I saw from Mike Leigh once again, and yeah, always give him the chance. I was trying to see all his films, of course. Then I saw X, this recent horror film that made me very hopeful actually. So yeah, really loved this film actually, and I won't say anything about this. Just check it out if you've not already seen this. There is a prequel and a sequel coming as well, I believe. So I'll be looking into that. Pearl is one of the films. Yeah, but this film, loved it. Really did, and yeah, just a very highly impressive modern horror film. So there we go. And after that, once again, rewatching The Conjuring 2, and obviously love that film. It Chapter 1, absolutely love this, and since seeing this, this has been one of my favourite, kind of modern horrors, and I just think it's one of the best, among the best kind of Stephen King adaptations, if you will, and obviously being the first film of this story. Obviously the other one was a TV movie, the '90s one, but this is the first film adaptation, obviously, of this book, and yeah, just I think it's stunning. I loved everything about this one, and shortly after that I saw, for the first time, because I've been holding off on it, I guess, because I knew, the second, I think part of this story in a general sense, even getting that from the TV version, is just very, I don't think it kind of lives up to that first part of the story. I think a lot of people would agree with that, so I thought, well, hold off. I wasn't in any rush, and hearing that it wasn't, it was quite panned, I thought I'd definitely be interested in seeing it regardless, but never got around to it until now, and quite surprising, again, nowhere near as good as the first chapter, and I don't think it's, great, definitely some things, some flaws, comedy here and there, blandness, kind of generic moments here and there, but overall it didn't, kind of compromise the overall investment of this film that I had, and it surprised me, even, this kind of, I think lesser part of the story really was very, very compelling to me, and actually, I love this, very good, and a love from me, so yes, I'm in the minority there, but that's what I felt, and topsy-turvy, love Mike Leigh, didn't like this film, that's what I always say, I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't think it was good, personally, but, a massive Mike Leigh fan, that was my least favourite though, and going through some films here, Ideal Home, quite a good film, Paul Rudd, of course, in this film, yeah, it was quite nice, and, quite funny as well, of course, Steve Coogan in this film, yeah, it was just a film that I recommend seeing. I'm not going to get into all the plot, because it's quite, a basic one, so I would spoil the film, I guess, in a sentence, but yeah, it's a fine comedy, a nice film, and one I enjoyed. Antichrist, seeing this again, for around the Halloween time, obviously a Lars von Trier film, and absolutely stunning, even better than I remembered, and just wow, but even more, you know, disturbing than I remembered. And wow, there's some moments in this, whew, very, very violent, and yeah, just it makes you feel violence. It really does. Very disturbing. And the day after that, I saw what I claimed potentially to be the scariest film very recently, The Exorcist. So yes, I talked about that, you know, recently. So yes, Ant-Man. Seeing that again. I love this film. I think it's underappreciated, and you know, a very, very you know, just enjoyable kind of MCU film, and so creative, this one, you know, visually and stuff. Just and also just very easy to kind of get invested in film as well, and the comedy, the different characters in this. You know, Michael Douglas, and you know, all these different characters, and yeah, just really love this film. So yes, on the same day I saw. So this is a film that's very interesting. Elvis, of course, the recent Baz Luhrmann film, and I'm not someone who's seen really different Baz Luhrmann films. I've seen, you know, many different bits of his Romeo and Juliet, you know, of DiCaprio, you know, in the 90s, obviously. I've seen bits of that, you know, and actually at school we watched quite a bit of it as well. You know, it's one of those films I've never seen all the way through, but was never a fan really of it, actually. And Elvis, you know, Elvis himself, you know, the artist, you know, is one of my favourites. Definitely among the best solo artists for me, and you know, I think he's an absolute legend. So, and I've seen, you know, the John Carpenter version, you know, the TV film, you know, yeah. So with Kurt Russell, you know, I was definitely a big fan of that in many regards. But this film for me was a bit underwhelming actually, and I thought it was okay, but you know, really. For an Elvis film, you know, film about Elvis in this way, biopic, of course, you know, it didn't quite, you know, do it for me really. You know, I think the first hour, was I enjoying it? Perhaps not even enjoying it, and I thought just a bit of a misfire in different regards, and you know, it's a divisive film. Some people love it, and some people aren't too big on it. You know, I'm kind of in the middle, you know, but I think it's definitely underwhelming, and I just think the way it was edited, the way, you know, the style of this film, the way it was told, was just, you know, that's not the kind of film, you know, kind of storytelling that I'm really personally that big on. You know, you could say not the fast-paced, energetic narration. You know, look at Goodfellas, but it's kind of like someone's took that and tried their own, you know, just kind of. You know, telling of that kind of thing. I just don't like it when it's done like this. It was very generic, and I wasn't invested that much until the final act, really, of an Elvis film. So there we go. Again, things to praise, but you know, even the performances in the film, you know, what they were doing in it, the sound was all off. So I wasn't actually, you know, getting really the most of the songs that, you know, that I know and love. I wasn't really. I would go on YouTube and find a better, you know, kind of quality kind of this, and just yeah, the sound was all off. I couldn't hear a lot of the dialogue at times, but the final act was definitely moving, and you know, I think overall it's an okay film. I did enjoy it overall, because, you know, the second half it got better, but you know, really, I'm just not, you know, so sure that this kind of, you know, Baz Luhrmann is, you know, a filmmaker who I'm, you know, big on really, in terms of his films, with all respect, obviously, and you know. That kind of thing, but yeah, just it was fine. It was okay, but it was definitely underwhelming for me, and it was definitely a slog. You know, this was, you know, I very much felt the length, you know, of this one, and you know, was quite numb after this one. So yeah, there we go. A bit, you know, not the most positive of viewing experiences, but there we go. Halloween H2O. I saw this as a kid a few times, and yeah, this is a good, solid film for me in the franchise. One of the best. You know, obviously the original for me is better, and I think another one as well. But you know, this is one of the best, and way up from a lot of the previous sequels. You know, obviously Jiminy Curtis. It seems like whenever she's in one of these, you know, it kind of elevates. You know, they're usually the best ones as well, you know, because the second one, she was in that, and it wasn't, you know, that great, but it was better than, you know, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and once again, H2O, definitely for me one of the best. Not from what I loved, many things that were just, you know, cringy and just could have been better, but you know, I enjoyed the characters quite a bit, you know, and I think just yeah, even very side characters, if you will, were just elevated, and I did enjoy this one quite a bit. So yeah, going from that, the Purge election year, some very hilarious moments in this, and yeah, it's just a fine film. It's okay. It started off a lot better. The second half, wasn't as good, but definitely an okay film, and one that I enjoyed. Not as good as Anarchy, the previous entry, but Frank Grillo once again is back in this film, obviously. Election year, and it was great to see him once again. And a few films left now. Wind River, of course, with Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen. In this film, very interesting film. I think it was a good film. It's been talked about quite a bit. In terms of 2017 films, and yeah, I did enjoy this one. It's just there are so many better films I thought of that year, so it wouldn't be on my list of favorite 2017 films for me. Just it wasn't that investing personally for me, but I did love the kind of flashback sequences. Actually, very effective, and Jeremy Renner, I think was great in this film. He really held it together, and just some other things, that wasn't quite there. Graham Greene, though, it was great to see him obviously in a film as well, and he was quite funny in this, and I think that the sound once again, just at times wasn't quite there, and a lot of the as well as just overcomplicated. I felt the plot really, and yeah, it was a fine film though, very good visuals, and it was a very interesting film. VHS, absolutely hated this film. Unfortunately, another found footage film that I'd heard about, very famous anthology and film. And I've seen the second one as of now, and it was a bit better, but again I didn't like it. So yeah. Moving from that, stunning film here, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So obviously the original, and watched this very close to Halloween. Enough said. I've spoken about this film so much, and one of the best films ever made for me. Not just horror films, absolute perfection for me. Then we have The Nightmare Before Christmas, Tim Burton, story and all this, and not directed by Burton, but just very much a Tim Burton kind of work, and it was a good film. Definitely, I enjoyed this. It just wasn't what I was expecting, and I'd seen bits of it before, but never all the way through. And yeah, it was a fine film. I enjoyed it, and it was nice. It has some nice messages in there, and obviously the animation is stunning in this film. That's what I loved about this, and the opening as well. It had me, but it didn't quite live up to the opening for me. But then I saw Sweeney Todd day after that, and this is potentially a masterpiece for me. And I absolutely love this film. One of the best Tim Burton films for me, actually, and it's definitely up there with Sleepy Hollow, and not quite there for another Tim Burton film that I saw the day after that on Halloween itself, Beetlejuice. This is one of the very best Tim Burton films for me, and really a perfect film. It's a masterpiece, and it's so moving and just creative, and so funny as well. A really surprising film. Once again, it was better than I remembered. So I've seen it 3 times now, I believe. I think 2 or 3 times, and yeah, absolutely love it. And yes, that's the last film of October, and yes. We'll start going through now the favourite first watches of each month, and for September it had to be Rocketman. This film, as I say, it blew me away. Wasn't quite there in the final act, I feel, but overall, this film, I loved it. The telling of Elton John's life, or a portion of his life, obviously, and right up to the kind of ending credits. I was invested so much in this, and Taron Egerton, gave a stunning performance. Really. I should be proud of this performance. It's so great, and just the kind of the way in which they kind of paid tribute to Elton John was so great, and really moving, and just funny, and investing and relatable as well. Kind of the portrayal of Britain and stuff, and families, and all this, and going through different things, and obviously this was portrayed so wonderfully, and yeah, just real, as I say, tribute to Elton John's his life and his talent. This is a film that does have the sound design and the real the support there to kind of bring out these performances. And it's very interesting what it was doing with the actual performances themselves. Not always, quite perfect for me. The final act wasn't quite there, I guess, but it did deliver overall as a package. A great film for me, and definitely my favourite first watch of September. And for October, it had to be, a very, very special film, and that is Secrets and Lies. This film by Mike Leigh, as I say, it's probably his best film for me, and I think Nuts in May as well is up there, but I think Secrets and Lies, sitting down to see this, and kind of, I was very much pumped, and had been, slightly underwhelmed with some of the previous, ones like High Hopes and stuff. So I thought, let's really bring it back, to the ones that I love, and it did not disappoint, and I was very much looking forward to this, and really, it was better than I thought it'd be, and about, obviously, in the general sense, this woman trying to find her actual, birth mother, and kind of them showing their lives, and then obviously, I won't get into it, but really, it's a very, very special film, very, very moving, and also just light in time in places, kind of in parts of the narrative, just an ensemble piece once again. I think Mike Leigh's at his best when he's doing this, kind of very much focusing on a group of characters in a very, very particular way, and a family perhaps, centering it around that, and in terms of his films, and I think as All or Nothing as well. I saw that very recently in November, obviously, and which it is now, and yes, I think once again that's one of the best for me as well. Really love what Mike Leigh does with these kinds of narratives, and I think Secrets and Lies still is my absolute favourite Mike Leigh, and just the acting, the script, wow, the atmosphere, and just I think the humanity of this, and it really, really moved me, and definitely left me with a sense of hope, very much, and it wasn't a depressing film, but it was very dark and moving, obviously. I think the best Mike Leigh that I've seen, and absolutely stunning. So Secrets and Lies, definitely the best film that I watched for the first time in October, and yes, highly recommend seeing this, obviously. And Mike Leigh films, ended on that. Been watching quite a few of his films, obviously over time recently, and certainly it's been a very nice experience, and really inspiring. So yes, Mike Leigh, a great director, and for October that had to be the one, and obviously September was Rocket Man. So yes, two British films, obviously, and just great films, obviously, as well. So tell me your thoughts on these films that I've been talking about, in this video. Feel free to leave your thoughts, on any films that I've mentioned. What have you been watching recently as well? What's been going on in terms of rewatches, watches for the first time, and what have you been doing recently in regards to film? So yes, look forward to hearing your thoughts as well, as always. And it's been great to do this. So yes, we'll leave it there. And yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.